Let's see who comes on. Okay. Hey folks, this is Brian Harris with the Independent Black Voters on Facebook as we do our series of Knowing the Candidates. We're nonpartisan, which means that we vet all parties and nonpartisans and try to help you decide who is the best candidate. We do focus on issues that we believe are prevalent in the Black community, and we try to make sure that we are informed voters when we go out. It is not about parties, it's about people, folks, and we must understand and elect candidates that understand the value of our votes and the issues of our community. So today I am happy to have Miss Rhonda Knightley. She is running, tell them who you're running for.
Hi, I'm Rhonda Knightley. I'm running for Assembly District 29. I'm a Republican. And District 29 is Galleria, Green Valley, Henderson area.
And this actually happens to be an area that I am. So I get to not only interview, but I get a chance to vote. So we start off, Ms. Knightley, tell everybody a little bit about you.
Well, thank you very much, Brian, for having me here. I am a 30-year Nevadan. I'm a 21-year Nevada or Henderson area resident. I've been a homeowner for 25 years in Nevada. I have 6 children. My husband has 3 and I have 3. They're all adults, 34 to 19. And I say that because education is very important to me. I had children in the school districts for 27 consecutive years. So I have a lot of experience in public, private, and homeschooling. Public safety is very important to me. I currently work for the city of Las Vegas in public safety, and I've worked for the city for 24 years. So I have experience working on that side as well as the private industry. I worked for Del Webb, Sun City, Summerlin, McDonald Ranch, and the start of Anthem before I started with the city of Las Vegas. Budgets up to $72 million. I have had a lot of fun along the way. I believe that we need to reach out and make sure everybody is heard, everybody has a voice, and I truly believe that Nevada legislature needs my skill set. Zero-based budgeting, we need to know what it's like, and not just vote straight party lines. We really need to talk issues and work together. We need to bring this state to top notch. 49th in education is no way to go. That's no way to have to diversify the economy, to bring businesses to Nevada. We need an educated workforce and we need a safe community.
Okay, thank you. That's a good start. I've got 2 more of my members, Mr. Rodney Smith. How you doing, Rodney?
Hi, Rodney.
And Mr. And Ron Nagy. Ron, how you doing?
I'm doing good, sir. How you doing, Rhonda?
Okay. Well, great. That's a great introduction. And again, so tell me again why you told me a little bit in the introduction on why you run. What do you see are the most pressing issues, both with the state and with since you're representing my area, the Henderson area? What do you think the most pressing issues?
I really believe that the economy, we really need to focus on. But the economy is secondary when in fact public safety is an issue. When I've been out in the community, we have residents in our neighborhoods that are worried about being safe, and that is very important to make sure we address public safety as a #1 concern of our residents. Education, everybody is impacted by the education. 49th in the nation is no place to be. And that's probably where I see the state and in our community as huge issues, especially with the education. I believe that this is where I may differ with people, that that breaking down the huge system of Clark County School District is probably a very wise thing. Not much for duplicating overhead in areas. However, communities can regulate their own school districts, and they can bring the resources to the people right in their neighborhoods. The teachers can be teachers, police officers, students. It's raising a child, raising a community is a local issue, and I believe we start with the education and making sure our kids in our neighborhoods and in all neighborhoods have the resources. And I believe in parent choice. So parents should be able to bring their children where their best education is. And as a parent, I had the opportunity, or that I needed to move my child from our community public school that wasn't suiting his needs. And fortunately, I was able to put him in private school. It was very expensive, but we cut corners and we did what we needed to do. That wasn't the solution for him either. So we were able to homeschool for a couple of years and very easily get him mainstream back into the Green Valley High School, school in our neighborhood. And so public school was very good for that. But we took a few turns along the way, and every parent should have that opportunity. You shouldn't just require the means or being able to finagle things to be able to take care of your children in that way.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you some questions specifically on the three items. Then I'm gonna have Rodney ask specific questions, and I'm gonna have Ron, and then I'll end it up. The first thing we talked about was safety.
Yes.
That's a very broad issue that people say. Give me an example of why you think safety is, or what you think is going on from the safety perspective. And from that broad end, what do you think is the problem and what do you think is the solution?
That's a very broad question.
Well, you said safety. I'm bringing it down. Tell me what you think the problem is and tell me what you think the solution is.
There are many, many catalysts, and there's not one problem and there's not one solution. So it is going to take a village to solve all of the issue. However, public safety comes down to having enough police officers that are properly trained, that have that are sensitive to their communities. That community-oriented policing is very important. Officers need to be right down in the community, so that it's not an emergency that brings an officer to the area. It's not 5 hours later. It's somebody that you know by a first name, by Officer Justice's name, or whoever it is. Children growing up need to know that they're safe, and all of that is very important. But I think community-oriented policing is one of the solutions, as well as entering into community neighborhood organizations, so that I know my neighbor, you know me, and you know your next door neighbor, and we watch out for each other. Henderson, Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, the whole area, we need to become a community. We are a small community for a very large area.
Okay. Anything else?
Probably, but I'll
So you kind of gave me what you think the major issues. Here's a different perspective from the
Absolutely.
Black community. We want safe neighborhoods also.
Yeah.
Having a police force that is respectful and treats everybody the same, and having a diversified workforce is very important, and destroying the blue wall, which we think is very prevalent in the uneven distribution of law with the law and order. So that is an issue that I hear is many people, but the underlying factor right now we are dealing with in not just Henderson or Nevada or other areas is the disproportion of the unequal equity of economic opportunities. I live in Henderson, obviously, but it still has a lot of poor people who are getting poorer by the day. You have people who are homeless because they can't afford housing. And literally, I believe that a stronger, balanced economy for the middle class will drive you a lot more into public safety than more police, because I don't want a police state. And the truth of the matter is, I live in Henderson. I feel very safe. You know, I've left my doors open. I've done other things. Don't have any big crime sprees there. So my concern is basically we are focusing on I support the police, and there should be more of I support trying to help communities be more economically advantaged, because the more people have, the less people steal. The less people have, the more people steal. And no matter how many police you put out, no matter how many barriers you have, if you don't address the underlying problem, you end up with high crime and unsafe neighborhoods. The solutions, I mean, bringing police, I hear everybody talk about bringing police, but I never talk about the solution. Rodney, before you answer,
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm going to ask Rodney and see what his thought is, and then let you answer. Rodney, can you hear me?
Hey, Brian.
Yes.
And good afternoon to your guest. I was actually up underneath a air conditioner, so I didn't actually hear the question that you had for me.
It was about public safety. We're talking about, there were a couple of items. I asked the top 3 items from Ms. Knight, who's running for state assembly, and one she talked about was public safety.
Okay, gotcha.
And,
yep, I heard it. I heard that part. So one of the questions I wanted to ask is, what is the crime rate currently, and when did it become an issue?
See.
Thank you for your question. I do not know what the crime rate is. I do know that recidivism rates are somewhere in the neighborhood of about 27%, which is a significant problem in Southern Nevada. What was the second part of your question?
So I had asked what was the crime rate, and because you said public safety was an issue, so I was wondering what was the current crime rate and when did it become an issue, since we're actually at historic lows in criminality in Las Vegas now.
Thank you. We're just having a hard time hearing on the computer. So you're absolutely right. When has crime become a problem? Crime has consistently been a problem all along the history of Nevada. Let's not pretend that you're right. And again, I do not know the numbers that you're asking for, sir.
Okay, no, I was just curious because you said that public safety was one of the biggest issues, and up until I'm hearing this from you, I had actually been told by Metro and the folks down at the Bolden Area Command, which used to be one of our more problematic area commands, that our crime rate was at a historic low, and that crime had actually gone down though it had ticked up slightly, but even with it ticking up slightly, it was still at historic lows. So that's why I was kind of concerned. Well, I just wanted to know, is something going on that I'm not aware of that is creating this to be one of your top concerns?
When I was out knocking doors, that is just one of the concerns that people throughout District 29 had been expressing. I had been knocking doors in multiple, there's 19 precincts, and with different demographics, and it seemed like a question that everybody who answered their door, which again is not all that many people who answer their door, but it was a resounding message that people want to make sure that their communities are safe. And this is everything from all different types of housing.
So do you know, so you mentioned District 29, I'm guessing that's the district that you're running for. What is the crime rate in District 29, and how much has it gone up from the historic lows that we've had across the valley?
I completely see your point, sir. And I do not know the crime rate specifically in our area. But yes, I, like Brian, do believe that our area is a very safe one.
And that's one of the reasons we ask those questions, because it's great to wear the police flag and law and order flag, but we want to know what's truly happening and not what is, because sometimes fear and perception is used to drive people to point them in a direction that may not be completely factual.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Ron, do you have any questions on that specific issue? Because then we're going to go to the next question.
Yes, definitely. I was curious, right, being that you have mentioned basically handling, actually increasing the police presence in the city, right? Isn't that what you were basically saying when it comes to your need for public safety?
I'm sorry, I wasn't able to hear that.
So you were saying that one of your main concerns was public safety, right? And one of the things you were going to do to address that was to basically increase the police presence, right?
I believe we support our police and provide them the tools, technology, equipment. I am not necessarily saying we need to increase, but we do need to make sure that they have the tools and training and mental health support that they need to be able to do their jobs and do it well for the public communities.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So to follow up with that question, I wanted to see what your thoughts were when it comes to police accountability, right? When a cop per se does something that is clearly wrong, how do you view the process that needs to be handled to address that?
Did you hear it?
Yeah, he's basically kind of saying, like I say, right now, and let me kind of even couch it in a different direction. But thank you, Ron. One of the candidates I talked to here said straight up, he says, right now, there's an upheaval in the police department. They are not happy with the police chief. There seems to be a dysfunctional, it's across the country, issue where there's an us against them in some strategies. And unfortunately, us against them seems to be ported towards the minority community, with specifically the Black community. I just tell you the truth. We see a lot of change going on because, again, we're trying to break down the blue wall. We want police. I want good quality police, just like you do. But I want accountability. And a good example, even in Henderson, is they brought in an African-American as the police chief. The people below, the police had a problem with her. They brought in another African American woman, and they have a place now. Dysfunctionally, a lot of times we're trying to get professionalism, accountability, and sometimes where one group may say, we support the police, it comes about, we support the police no matter what they do. And the other group says, we support the police, but they must be accountable. They are not heroes, they are public servants. And as we have continued to put public servants on the pedestal of heroes, heroes believe that they do not have the same boundaries as the community, and therefore the ends justifies the means. And so I'm used to being over to stop who've experienced it, young Black kids for driving while Black. I'm used to being okay to stop Black people for walking while Black. I used to be okay for me to stop and harass people just because they don't look like me and just because I can't. And we've always looked for supporting the police with community accountability. And that's the question we're asking, because right now, not just in Henderson, there's an upheaval. And many times we feel like when people are saying, I support the police, do you support the whole community? And do you support community police accountability? And do you support real diversity? And when we talk about diversity, it does not mean anybody but Black people, because there is an issue with diversity. And when you don't have diversity, you have the blue wall. And that's why I say we support police, good policing, but also the scare tactics of, they're going to overrun our cities is used a lot. Crime, even when crime is not there, is used as a tool to have people vote for giving, basically unlimited power to our police force simply because they're afraid of the boogeyman. Am I saying that right? There should be accountability to police, to the community on all scales and opportunities. Is that kind of what you're saying, Ron?
Yes, sir. That's exactly what I was saying. Thanks for putting it in a better way.
Okay. So now I'll let you answer on that.
Well, that is exactly a fabulous point, both Brian and Ron. Accountability in everybody's job is very important. And the police, when they're out in front, they're putting their lives on the line. They need to be held accountable as well. They need to have the support. They need to have the training, the tools. Back to my community-oriented policing. They need to be directly in the communities that they're policing. It's a whole lot easier to, when you know what's going on in the community, not to be profiling, not to be looking like you're Superman or you're the hero. But we're friends. You're part of my community. You wrap your arms around each other and go, this is how law enforcement works. We need accountability. We need the tools, tools, technology, equipment, training, and then also the mental health issues. There needs to be available resources for the horrific things that officers see on a day-to-day basis. Because kind of along the lines that you were saying, if you're exposed to something, there may be a wall, there may be a barrier, there may be a bias, and all of that they need to have a safe place that they can go talk that out, and not to be held against them, not to lose your career over when you're in a bad mental space, when you had to walk over the dead body, when you found somebody that you tried to save their life. They need the support then, and not to be cast aside. So, but absolutely, the economic of this make complete sense. I really liked the point you made earlier that about the economy really being the issue. And that is one of the things that I keep talking about, is that the education and safety, two together, are very important. so that we can have a diversified economy, so we can be providing good jobs, so we can have college ready as well as job ready students when they graduate from high school. Those all very, very important. And I completely lost track
That's
of the
okay.
question you asked.
Well, I'm going to take you to the next question because it was a
Perfect.
great lead in.
Thank
Obviously, you're running for state assembly. You're not running for school board, but we talked about education. You and I have talked off here. You made some statements here. And I've said this before, so obviously here, the Black community as a whole looks at things differently. I live in Henderson. If I was only concerned about Henderson, I would be okay with breaking up the school system. If you broke up the school systems, immediately Henderson would move up very high on the educational chart. If you broke it up, Summerlin would quickly remain at the top of the charts. But areas in North Las Vegas, areas in the historic West Side, areas in other places would remain the same. So in other words, you fix the problem in the more economically prosperous areas while you left it the same. So I'm a believer, that you fix the public school problem. You don't just break it up. So these folks will be happy about having they've got the economic base now. They don't have to worry about the stigmatism of being in the 40th ninth. They're now able to say, see, we're here. We're not in problem. We got a great school system. The other thing I said to you, and I say it here, is one of my major concerns when people talk about breaking up the school or school choice has been the bottom line. And this point, do you support Brown versus Board of Education? Or what do you say? I'll let him ask that question because he's next anyway. So, but I want to break this down to you. The Black community has fought against segregation. Busing was brought in to try to deal with segregation. Many times the Black community sees I'm for school choice because in all reality, my granddaughter, they moved into my district. She can just write a piece of paper and she can stay in the school she wants. So school choice is here. The big proponent of school choice seems to be funding, and we want to fund church-based schools. We want to fund private schools. And I'm a person who was a product of Gary Roosevelt public school system. I have an undergrad in electrical engineering technology. I have an MBA from Purdue University. I saw that system degrade as the economics in the area degraded. There's a direct correlation between economics and basically education that we don't want to talk about, because if we break up the schools, we are basically, in the eyes of the Black community, basically putting back on the hat of segregation, because you turn around and you put you're putting a lipstick on a pig. When you look at that, there were people that I knew that went to private schools, and as you said, their parents paid for going to private school. They had the option to go to public school. They chose to go to private school. Well, you have to basically pay for that because this option is here. No money should not be given to private schools because they made that choice. You have an issue with separation of state and church when you have church schools, and they will determine who gets in first. Obviously, the people who are in their congregation, obviously the people who are in their beliefs will get first choice. So it will really be school choice. We are just funding the church, the schools that are outside of the public school. We believe you fix the problem of this in public school. We know that staffing in many of these areas, they get the worst staffing. You can throw money, but if you don't have staffing and if you don't deal with the underlying issues of the economics, you're not going to solve it by breaking up the school system. And when I hear that, again, from the perspective of the Black community, it's basically taking us backwards, not taking us forwards. It's not going to solve the problem. It will solve it for the rich. It will solve it for the people who have economic prosperity. But it will not do a damn thing for the areas that are there, because you can't school choice everybody out of the public school. You
No.
can't. It's impossible. So fix the problem instead of always, I'm for school choice. I'm not for school choice. And really, truthfully, it's not school choice because we have it. It's I'm for funding private schools. I'm for funding church schools. I want to put the money there. Then I want to break up the system. So now I can put even more money there. So we are very, very leery as a community when people talk so adamantly about school choice with no solutions, like that's going to be the end all be all in the whole problem we have here of a system. And if you break it down, it still comes back to the predominantly Black and brown people who are getting the worst educations, we're getting the worst opportunities, and this is not a fix for them. It's a fix for the people who are already in good shape. Rodney, I'm going to let you take that back, and then I'll let you comment.
Well, since you're running for assembly, the assembly passes the laws that the school board has to abide by. And so what I was wondering was what bills were you going to propose that education process from recruitment and also to academic achievement and life readiness?
Okay, you're good.
Okay, I heard most of that, so I will try to restate what you said. Since I'm running for state assembly, what bills, laws will I be a party to fix what Brian had been talking about earlier?
We can go there.
Okay, that's all right. Well, currently, every county by law has one school district. And that is what I would like to see changed. Clark County and Washoe County are excessively large, and I respectfully disagree, but I agree with your basic premises. I agree with many of the direct cause and effects of what you're talking about. But where I would like to see this go is sort of along the lines of business. When there are choices, everybody gets better. When you have competition, I truly believe when any one child moves to a charter school, moves to another area, the public schools are going to get better, because that, you are absolutely right. That is what needs to be fixed. And I truly believe if we could just get enough people hired, have the right benefit packages, the number.
Go, keep talking. Keep talking.
Exactly, with the number of people, getting the teachers in there, getting them in the districts. I think that's all very, very important. And I truly believe deep in my heart, when there's competition and when there's a fear or threat of losing funding in public schools, they will in fact get better. There will be opportunities. There will be grant funding. There will be the community itself will wrap its arms around those schools, those children, and they will become better. I believe in business, and that is how good business works as well. When there's competition, everybody becomes better.
So I am a business owner and have been one for decades. But the schools are actually not a business. And even though we have a large number of charter schools in the Clark County School District now, the charter schools are actually not performing any better than the public schools on average. So what data do you have to support that creating more charter schools will create the competition that will bring about excellence in public education?
Public education, when it has the competition of the charter schools, will not want to be losing their funding or their students, and they will grow.
Okay. Well, we're going to continue that, but I'm going to make this. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, Rodney. Rodney, are you there?
I'm here. I'm not sure if Rodney's here.
Okay. Well, he'll come back on, but let me go. You gave me three things, and you told me it was obviously safety, education. What was the third one?
The economy.
The economy. So, give me your opinion on, from a state assembly aspect, what do you think is wrong? What do you think we need to do to improve the economy?
In order to improve the
I'm trying to make sure we're okay. Can you hear me? Hello? Let's start that over again. Because I'm not, so yeah, I know I'm not muted now.
Okay. What was the question again?
Economics. What do you think are the barriers, and what do you think from a perspective of state assembly you would focus on to strengthen the economy?
To strengthen the economy, we need to diversify our economy. And in order to diversify economy, we're going to need to have job-ready graduates. And so education is a key component of what I would like to see done to improve the economy. I was just on another track and I've just completely lost it. We need to get out of having tourism as our primary or one of our only large industries. If we were to get some high quality manufacturing, robotics, education, jobs go up. Back to what you were saying earlier, if you increase the middle class, then people can afford homes. They can, and the whole cycle works. The community works when we are able to actually have jobs for graduates, high school, tech school, college, at all different levels. Everybody should be able to be successful, and we really need to be able to have houses. As having 6 children, I really would love for all of my children and my grandchildren to be able to have houses in Las Vegas. This current economics inequities continue to happen where we're at. My children may never be able to live here. They may never be able to afford to.
Great.
That's very important to me.
So let me ask you this question. There is a congressman now who is fighting the issue of corporations who have come in and disproportionately are buying up housing, single family homes specifically, that is driving up, falsely inflating the cost of housing, especially in places like Henderson. It is becoming to a point where it is unattainable. When you look at the average cost of a house in Henderson is close to $500,000 now. He's fighting for some legislation that would make it so that these, I'll call it raiders that are coming over here buying up properties and buying the average person out of their ability to own a home, and then increasing the rent. That doubly is a double wham and double problem. Give me your opinion on that. Do you support the ability or the need to go in and regulate, or basically make it, I guess, give me your opinion, because housing should not, especially single family housing, should not be a commodity. It is being run as a commodity now. There needs to be laws in place that will turn around and help to create affordable housing. So tell me your opinions on that and how you believe affordable housing, because it's not just about creating jobs, because if you have jobs that don't give you the ability to purchase a home, well, you just have a job. Exactly. So give me your opinion on that, what the legislation, what's going on now to try to control and curb the amount of corporations purchasing single family homes.
That I do believe is an issue as well. I I am very much low regulation, and when it comes to business, less restrictions on our businesses. But you're absolutely right. Back to my initial fear of, will my children be able to buy homes here if they're continually being usurped by companies that are coming in and buying them up? And great analogy about the houses. Single family home should not be a commodity. And that's, I believe, a Southern Nevada issue that we need to really wrap our hands around.
So we should support some legislation that type?
We need to be able to have a, we need to come up with a solution. I don't have that solution today, but I'd be willing to listen to anybody who thinks they can solve that problem.
Well, if you look at it right now, because of the lack of state assembly and federal, you have people who have, and I'm not a big HOA fan,
Yes.
but one of the things I'm giving them props, they're making it so you cannot, corporations can't buy up things while they're saying, hey, unless you live here, you can't be in our subdivision. And if they're making that decision because of the lack of commitment by us, I believe in a free open market, but I don't believe that business should control everything. As a matter of fact, we've historically shown that business does not do the right thing for everybody. Business is following green. They follow the money.
They're in the
They
business of
do that.
business.
So to say, I have no regulations. Well, one of the reasons right now we have high oil prices and high inflation is not Biden. It's because of corporate greed. It's because our oil companies are making record profits, which they drive transportation. And if they're driving up the price of transportation, that is the recipe for inflation. So to say that I just stand on the side of that, because these are now international corporations, they have no loyalty to the United States. And to say, I'm just going to give you regulations, to me, is showing, it's one of the reasons we're in the situation we are today. So what's your opinion on that? Do you agree, disagree? Do you see what's going on?
I agree with points of what you're saying, yes. And as a state, as a community, as a state, as a nation, we need to solve that globally. And we need to be able to directly say, we have the energy, are able to use it. We need to be able to use what we have. And we have corporations, exactly. We have more energy than we need right now. It's because corporations they've seen what they're doing. They're turning around and they're pretty much hosing the U.S. consumer because the international prices are high and demand is high. They're able to.
But in here, we're meeting the demands. It's just that they found that as a trigger to drive up their profit sheets. That's why I'm not 100% a believer of business should be just let to do whatever they want to. So I'm going to take you to the next question. This is very important as the independent Black voters. And I want to first, Ms. Knightley, thank you, because again, we don't ask the same questions. We ask difficult questions, but we get out and help our candidates win.
Absolutely.
I am nonpartisan. I talk to Republicans, I talk to Democrats. I am very concerned of the nature of what's going on in America. There has been a major polarization of our communities and our people. There's been blatant lies being told that are negatively affecting our ability to have a true democracy. So I want you to give me your opinion on what's going on when you think, but before I want to ask you a question, who won the election in 2020?
Biden did.
Okay. Do you believe there was excessive abuse, or do you believe that there was abuse, basically voter fraud? Do you believe that?
There may have been in small pockets. There may be of small extraordinary circumstances. But once the election was counted and drawn and certified, Biden won the election.
Okay. And I asked that question because many people talk about voter security while they ignore voter suppression. again, from the eyes of the Black community, we embrace having as many people who should vote. We embrace because some of the things going on across the nation now, where you can go to jail for giving water to somebody because they're in line to vote, where you're trying to suppress the vote by there have been by literally some people talking about having police and having armed people at the polling, and that's literally going to be in the Black community, and that's literally going to be to intimidate people from coming to the polls. And then all of the avenues that have been put in place to circumvent those, there's an attempt to fight that. Many of the people who talk about voter security stay silent about the concerns of voter suppression. What is your thought there?
I believe that everybody who is eligible to vote should in fact vote.
Mhm.
And I don't, I'll stop right there. Every voter who is eligible to vote should get out and vote. And by whatever means that are currently available to them. I do believe in voter ID because you can't drive a car without a driver's license. So if you're registered to vote,
Mhm.
your registration is enough. I believe that keeps everybody honest. And I think that's important for everybody to not be able to say there was an election stolen. There was, when they have a roster, just like accounting. When you have 50 people and 50 people have voted,
Mhm.
50 people voted.
And I hear you on that.
I'm
Here's the
very
thing.
naive.
I walk up there, I give them my name, I give them my address, they take the information, they check it to make sure it's correct, and I go in and vote.
Yep.
I'm probably not concerned from the ID aspect, but you do have people. You look around here, you have homeless people who are over here. Yes, they can get some type of ID, but they are a U.S. citizen and they deserve the right to vote, just like I have the right to vote.
You shouldn't have to be a landowner.
Yeah, until we address voter suppression as hard as we're going to address voter security, because just like you, matter of fact, it was found out that the majority of voter suppression, of voter fraud, came from the people crying about voter fraud. In this election, many of the people we found out are the same ones they tested the system and got caught. So it shows to a point that we have a fairly resilient system here.
I believe
And
you're fairly resilient system.
I would rather fall on the side of preventing voter suppression than having in a tougher voting security when we're not seeing what is being claimed.
I want everybody who's eligible to vote.
Okay.
That way everybody's voice is heard. Everybody has made their choice.
Okay, great. Now the question to you. Right now we are very, very at odds. It's us against them. We are not America anymore. You have people who call themselves patriots, implying that you're not a patriot. We have we as Black people are very concerned about the rise of white nationalism. We're very concerned about the fact that we as Black people are probably pretty conservative in a lot of views of fiscal responsibility, et cetera, but we are concerned about this turn towards nationalism that to me is the precursor to fascism, which is not good for anyone in here. We have a problem in America right now, and how do we, in your opinion, how do we come together? How do we address these issues? Because we have major concerns about that issue. Give me your opinion before I let them talk.
I believe that everybody has an issue with those issues. Not everybody.
Not everybody.
Yeah,
because you got too many people who don't.
Absolutely. In the eyes and the views of Rhonda Knightley, there's 10% on this side, and there's 10% on this point, and there's 80% of us in the middle who just want the whole country to work. We want things solved. We want things better for our grandkids. We want to be able to walk out and be able to make a good living, enough to buy houses. We want our children to be able to live in the same communities that we grew up in. And maybe I'm just way too naive or way too idealistic, But I truly think there's 80% of the whole state, the whole country that really just wants what's right and what's good for everybody.
Okay. And I believe that it's probably more than 20% as far as far right, far left, because there are issues on both sides. Let me
That's why I said 20 over here and 20 over there.
Okay, but that's why, and I'm gonna ask you here, open primaries has been a big issue. As a matter of fact, it's going to be on the it'll be a question on there. To me, open primary, first, before you give me your opinion on open primaries and ranked choice voting.
I really want everybody to get out and vote.
Mhm.
And then we are able to have an election where you can open that up.
Well, open primaries would make it so that
Everybody's for anybody's on either
It means
side.
if I like somebody as
I
a
can vote- you can vote
Republican,
for me
if I like
if you're-
somebody as a Democrat, I
Yes.
can vote for them and not have to be bound by the party, because just as you said, the small percentage of people, be they 20%, 10%, they're voting in the primaries, and we're left to
Absolutely.
pick the lesser of the two evils. So I asked that
Absolutely.
question: do you believe in or support open primaries and ranked choice voting?
I do, because there's good people all over,
Mhm.
and I shouldn't be bound to only be able to vote, and then the two top candidates are the two true top candidates.
Okay.
Yours?
That's what I asked. Thank you. So I'm gonna let them again. I thank you, Rodney or Ron. I'm gonna let you all ask a couple questions, then we're gonna let this young lady off the hot seat.
Rhonda, you can go ahead. I'm, gathering my thoughts right now. If you have any questions, is Rodney back on the line?
I'm on.
Okay, great.
So I put a couple of some questions in the chat just in case I break up. And one of the things I asked was, what will you do to increase private ownership of solar power? And as you were talking about business and capitalism, each person who can afford solar panels on their roof has an opportunity to be their own power company and provide power for themselves like preppers do. And so I wondered, there was a time when you could have as much power potential on your roof or your property as you could afford. And then the legislature changed that to where you could have only a limited amount of solar power capacity. What do you think about that? And do you think that citizens should be able to produce as much solar power as they can afford? Okay. Ron, are you still on?
Yes, I'm here. I just had it on mute.
Here we go. I had her on mute. Okay.
To be honest, that isn't an area that I'm very well versed on, but thank you very much for giving me the whole history of it, so that I could actually answer the question. I appreciate that. I'm not familiar with the specific legislation that you're talking about. However, an individual should be able to regulate or generate what if I have a wish on my project property, I should be able to take care of it. Also, conversely, if I don't want to go that direction, I shouldn't be forced to or taken out of that market because I can't necessarily afford that. So
one of the reasons why I asked that question is because as we are capitalists, what I wanted to know was so for example, in Alaska, they have a lot of oil and they produce more oil than they need. So they're able to export oil to the lower 48. And then each Alaskan resident actually gets money for that oil that's produced. Well, in Southern Nevada, especially, but really in the whole state, we have access to a whole lot of sunshine.
Absolutely.
But we're limited on that capacity that we can have in residential. Businesses can have unlimited, and they can actually be disconnected from the grid. Where me as a private citizen, I can only have the capacity from the previous year and cannot be disconnected from the grid. Also, a side benefit to that is it takes pressure off of the power grid in excessively hot days, like what we're going to experience here for the next 30 days and have already experienced. So there's side benefits to not only could we possibly be exporters of energy, but it would also secure our power grid.
Once again, thank you so much for providing the background on that for the question. It is an area that I would love to hear more about, read a couple white papers on, to be able to make true and informed decisions. But what you're saying seems to make complete sense.
Okay, and then I want to go back to, do you support vote by mail?
What do you say?
Do you support vote by mail?
Absolutely. I lived overseas, and my ex-husband was military. I lived in Germany for 2 years, and I firmly believe that voting by mail is you're sent the ballot, you vote in it, and you send it back. And I believe that it's secure, and I believe it's definitely necessary, and it eliminates the force. You don't have to go to the polls if you are uncomfortable with it, if you're not in good health. I firmly believe that you request the ballot, you get the ballot, you vote.
Okay, and so a quick side question is, what branch of the military and where in Germany?
Air Force, and it was Zweibrücken, Germany. It was right on the finger of France, right above the Black Forest.
Did you say Zweibrücken?
Yeah.
Okay, know it well, and I'm also Air Force, so I appreciate this.
Ramstein?
No, actually, I believe it or not was at a German air base called Jaeger, but I just wanted to thank your husband for his service, and as well as your ex-husband, as well as you, for supporting his effort while he was in.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your service. My father was Navy, my stepfather's Navy, my son was Navy, and so I'm very, very pro-military, and I thank, I am consistent. I do the cards from home. I send on a monthly basis. I usually get to it about quarterly, but send to the deployed military service members.
Okay, and Brian, my final question is, just like the VA has single payer healthcare, which we say is good enough for veterans, would you support or do you support single payer healthcare here in Nevada on the state level?
Again, I am unfortunately would need to do a little bit more research on that. While I respect all the services that the VA does provide for our veterans, I'm not necessarily sure that it's the length of time that it takes to get a doctor when you have an issue. I think that branch of government still needs some work on it itself. So, but I would need a little bit more research to be able to decide if that's what we really need as far as a state.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Hey, Ron, did you have a question?
No, you guys pretty much asked everything I was.
Thank you so much, Ron.
Yeah. Now, I will ask a question that is very, a concern here is water. uh, we're in trouble. And I believe we're in way more trouble than the government is letting on to us. At the continued rate, literally, Lake Mead is in major trouble. And it seems like, again, this comes back to even letting big business dictate things. We may get into a point where we have to consider moratoriums on building, moratoriums on water, moratoriums on things, other than just asking people nicely to conserve water. We have a major problem here in Nevada and Henderson and etc. But tell me your opinion on where we are in water and what you think we're going to end up having to do, or how we can potentially address this issue before we run out of water.
Your concern is exactly mine as well. And for the last several months, especially, it's been in the news. The picture of the agreements with the Colorado River have been discussed. I have beautiful pictures of me when I first got here in the early 90s of the water being almost level with the
It's at the highest level.
At the highest level of Lake Mead. And I have a picture just from last year, and it is horrific. And I truly believe that we have an issue as well. Once again, we need to put the brightest minds together and decide what it is for Southern Nevada that we need to do, because otherwise, I have a Ryder rule. Ryder's my grandson. He's 3. And anything we decide today has to be good enough for Ryder 50 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
And anything I vote on, anything we talk about, it needs to be good for the future, not just for today. And so I share your concerns, Brian, and we need to address that.
Thank you. Well, I've had you on the hot seat. Oh, no. I've had you on the hot seat for a while, and I appreciate your honest responses. Folks, we, the independent Black voters, believe that our vote is not free. We believe we must talk to everyone about all of the issues and make decisions that are issue-based versus based on a party. I heard some things you said, not voting just on party lines. Everybody says that, but when they get in the party, it seems like their arms are twisted to vote party lines.
DDDRRRR.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that is killing the United States, because our candidates need to understand the party didn't put you there, the people did. That's why I support open primaries. That's why I support ways that will give the voice to all of the people, not just some of the people. We will talk some more, but this is an idea for you, the people, to decide who you want and who you like. If you live in Henderson, Black Henderson, please take a look at this. We have both candidates on. We look for both candidates to be honest and open. We look for you to make decisions after you hear what they say, and contact them if you have more questions, because we did not hit them all. I want to thank you, Ron, for being on. I want to thank you, Rodney, for being on. I'm going to say, before we're going to let Miss Knight take it home, I'm going to say, Rodney, Ron, do you have something, 30 seconds or something that you want to say before I give it over to Miss Knight to take us home?
No, I just appreciate you guys allowing me to get on the call and hearing your opinions on things. That's it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Speak up, Ron.
Yeah, I was saying I just appreciate the opportunity to get on the call with you guys and hear your opinions on different subjects.
Thank you very much, Ron. I very much want to be out in the community. I want to know people's opinions. I want to hear things that differ from my points of view. I'm an analyst at heart. I want to take every piece of information and determine what's best for all of us and listen to the people.
Definitely. Yes, ma'am. Sounds great.
Thank you.
So I just want America sort of to work like we work in the military. We wear the same uniform and we fight for what's best for all American citizens, and I would like to see our elected officials conduct themselves accordingly.
Amen, sir. Amen. And I hope if elected, I'm able to live up to all of your standards. And you always have my number and my email address, Rhonda, RHONDA, at Nightly for Nevada, KNIGHTLY, number 4, Nevada, NEVADA.com. And my phone number is on all of my literature.
Okay, so you get to take it home now.
Well, thank you so much, Brian, Rodney, and Ron for being here today, letting me share my opinions and what I feel very passionate about. What I really believe, I believe Nevada needs my skill set. We need somebody who's fiscally accountable, somebody who's open and willing to listen to everybody, and then take direction from who they were elected from. You are absolutely right. Once in office, it isn't Rhonda Knightley's views. So you can ask me all day what I believe in and where I'm going, but at the end of the day, it should be the voters. It's the 47,000 people that have the opportunity to vote for me come November. And on the bigger scale, while it's only district based of who can vote for me specifically, but I'm here for Nevada. I've been here for 30. I love it here. I've been a homeowner for 25 years. I've lived in my district for 21. I've had 3 children graduate from the public high school right down the street from me. All of those things are so very important. My children work in this community. My grandson, he's 3 years old. That's the Ryder rule. Everything has to be good enough 50 years from now in the future. I plan on living for at least the next 45. So I'm staying right here in Nevada, and I want the problems that we keep talking about, they need to be solved. And every single one of these problems seems to be an assembly problem.
Okay. Well, thank you again, Independent Black Voters on Facebook. This is our series, Know Your Candidates, Vote Your Mind. Thank you. Peace.
Thank you.
We are